Okay, so what I want to talk about here is what am I looking for in a rental property here in South Florida? Our mission is to pick up 5 more properties this year in 2022. Yes, in this market where everybody always has access is now the time to buy. It's never the question of really is now the time to buy. The question is really how do we buy now, right? It's always the time to buy, and it can always be the time to sell. It just depends on what your strategy is when you're doing either one of those things. So yes, in this crazy, on fire, insanity, insane market, we get the question all the time, do we buy now or do we wait? I can only do, or I can only teach what I do. And we bought 2 homes in this market over the last few months, and we're going to be buying 5 more rental properties for this year. So what is it that I am looking for? So essentially what we're looking for is 2 bedroom, 2 bath, or 3 bedroom, 2 bath, single family homes in South Florida, pretty much anywhere between north of Fort Lauderdale and up to West Palm Beach, maybe Jupiter. Now, we want to be purchasing homes underneath median pricing. What does that mean? Median pricing is basically the median of where homes are selling for in a particular area. You could find out what the median is simply by Googling it, but really what it means is simply what's the average someone's spending on a home at the moment. So if we take Palm Beach County, median price. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. And you could find some information on this. You could Snapchat certain areas because obviously some areas are a lot more expensive than others. But here's a quick example from the Palm Beach Post. In Palm Beach County, the median price of a single-family home shot up 6% to match its all-time high this summer of $500,000. So that gives you good insight too, right? But I wouldn't let this be the only source. You want to check multiple sources of where the median falls, just so you know, because this is a huge part of my strategy, and this is a huge part of what we're going to be doing. So we'll just scroll this for a second, just so we can do some research live, so I'm not making up any numbers. And here we go. Palm Beach mid-market sales keep rising year over year. Palm Beach single-family homes priced between $400,000 and $600,000 increased 10.7%. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to search on this page for median. Palm Beach County single-family median prices increased 20% year over year in August of 21, increasing from $399 to $480. Okay, so the median was $400 and it went up to $480. Okay, so basically, if all these sources are basically going around that same number, my comfort zone as far as median prices for a single-family home would be anything under $400. Okay. The reason for that is it gives you the most protection when it comes to a correction or a slowdown, or if any of these things ever do happen, which I'm sure eventually they will, it gives you the most protection simply because when there is a slowdown, everything gets pushed to the bottom. And if you're already below the median, there's only so far you can go down. But when you're above the median price, if you're above luxury and something like that happens, that's when you're at the most risk. Because if everything is dropping down, 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 think of it as a bell curve, okay? Where the bell is the median. Anything on one side of it is way higher than it should be. Anything under it is on this side of it, which is lower than what the median is. You are much safer on this side. So that's the strategy. Should you go with that strategy? Do your research. That's up to you. I'm just going with what I go with. So essentially what we look for is homes that are 2+ bedroom, 1.5+ bath, single family homes. Just to give you an example of what would interest me. So what was the price range we were looking at? I'll put 150 here to the max of 400. Okay. Now this is what's going to open us up to some areas. Okay. So these are pretty much the homes that I would check out. These are the homes that would be on my radar, the homes that I would go ahead and look at. So for example, click on one here. Now, you're going to see me scrolling because I'm doing this out of muscle memory. But I was basically scrolling towards one thing as soon as I jumped on this page, and I was looking for the HOA. HOA is sitting at 360. It's not the greatest. It's also not terribly high compared to other areas. So if the numbers make sense, it could be potential. Okay? So another thing that you want to watch out for, and this is a good example too, especially if you're from out of state. Florida is very popular when it comes to certain areas needing a mandatory membership. Club membership is mandatory. Do you ever see a price like this for a home that size and think it might be too good to be true? Usually it is. And here you'll see that club membership is mandatory. Usually the fees are extravagant, they're annual, and they flat out suck, in my opinion. Also, places like this have very strict rental rules. Stay away from places like this. But let's just keep poking around. Let's keep poking. So obviously, again, first thing I look for is the HOA. Okay, that's my comfort zone. I'm okay with that. So HOA-wise, this checked off. There's many things that need to be checked off. So I'm just going to check this real quick. Obviously, I would be checking the MLS for more accurate information, but most people don't have access to the MLS. But now if you look in here, club membership requirement is not necessary. Okay? Interesting. So assuming this place was rentable right away, you didn't have to wait a certain amount of years, that's when I would start checking my numbers. Okay? And I would do exactly that. So how would I do that? Well, the first thing I would calculate is how much it's going to cost me to run this property, right? What's everything all in? This is one thing I like about Zillow is you have a quick calculator here. So you have your principal and interest. I usually raise it a little bit because I know it's going to be a rental property. So to play it safe, raise this to 25% down and change the interest rate to somewhere around 4.1, 4.2, just to be safe, okay? This way you're really going to know where you fall. Mortgage insurance, obviously you're not going to need because we are at 25% down with 75% on the loan. Property taxes, pretty straightforward. Home insurance, I usually raise this too. Usually I find this kind of low, but I always calculate it as $2,000 a year. Depending on the size of the home, or these homes, I'll calculate that. Again, just to play your numbers safe. So now we have our estimated monthly cost, right? So what your agent can do, or what someone can do to help you out when they jump on the MLS, or if they do their research, they're going to find out what a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, around 1,700 square feet, what this size home rents for, right? Now, if we want to go by the rents estimate, which I do not recommend at all, you can see that there's a pretty wide gap between these two things, right? So if we pull up a quick calculator, I don't know if you guys can see my calculator. Okay, you can. So maybe you want to do this with me. You want to pull out your calculator on your smartphone, and this is essentially how we calculate. This is essentially how we calculate what our ROI would be on this property. Okay. So on the calculator, you want to take 3,300. Let's just call that that's what we're going to get for rent, which we don't know. We have to do our research. Again, always do research. And we're going to subtract 2,253 from it. Okay. We're going to subtract, I always subtract another 20% from this, just in case there's management fees, CapEx repairs, things like that. So you want to multiply that number, which you should have 1047, and we're going to multiply it by 0.80, giving us our 80%. That's our cash flow on this property. We're going to multiply that by 12 to get our annual cash flow on the property. We're going to take that number, $10,051.20, and we're going to divide it by the money that we put down on this property. Now, the down payment was $99,875, right? Well, for one, we could round that up to 100, okay? Just to make the sake of the numbers easier. But we do want to add some closing costs to this. In a home this size, we're probably going to add $8,000 for closing costs, and let's say another $2,000 for reserves, right? So altogether, down on this property is $110. So we're going to divide this number by 110,000. Now you're going to multiply that new decimal that just popped up by 100 to get your cash-on-cash return, which in this case is 9.1%. Cash-on-cash return. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out the rest of our ROI, one of which is what is the appreciation rate currently in Palm Beach County. Okay, so we're going to do a quick Google search. Palm Beach County property appreciation in 2021. What was it in 2021? In Palm Beach County, the median price of a single-family home shot up 6%. Okay, let's keep looking. Palm Beach County home prices were up 13% compared to last year. So there's a key number there. Because we know that during the pandemic, during these past few years, it shot up tremendously. So last year was 13%. Okay. So normally in a healthy market, we see what? 3-4%. Past year, 2 years, 3 years have been insane. So I won't use 13% again. I'll even lower it down to about 9% for the argument of this. So now this is what you want to do with that number. How much are we buying this home for? $400,000, right? Now we're going to multiply this by 9% appreciation. So multiply 400,000 by 0.09. Sorry if I'm getting all math crazy with you, but this is how it is. So that's a $36,000 appreciation. That means that if you buy this house today, in 1 year from now, if markets continue to trend the way they are, not counting for 13%, but only 9%, your net worth will increase because this property's value will increase by $36,000. So essentially you made $36,000 in the form of home equity over the next year. Now, what do we do with that number? Simple. This was a return. So we are going to now divide this number again by what you were out of pocket on, which was $110,000. So divide 36,000 by 110,000, which gives you multiply that by 100, that decimal, just so you get a clear number. Okay. 32%. So 32% ROI from appreciation. Okay, so we have 9% from cash flow, 32% increase of your dollar on appreciation. And there's one more number, which is the mortgage pay down, the loan amortization, which always falls to usually a flat 5%. We won't go into why and calculate that right now, but usually that's what it defaults to. But you see usually a 5% return because of loan pay down by your tenants. We're not going to count any tax benefits in this equation. We're just going to use those three numbers. So what are our three numbers? We have 9.1%, but we'll call it 9, plus 32%, okay, plus 5%. So you're looking with the purchase of this property at 46% ROI, assuming that it rents for the number that it states here, which we would have to do our research. A few other things I want to point out when I'm looking at a property. This is definitely a candidate. This is for sure a candidate. I would call this agent. I will go visit this agent. I will go see this house. I will do my numbers on this. This is for sure a house that I would look at. Check for good schools. This checks out for me. I don't care if it's going to be a rental property. I don't care if it's going to be a rental property and I know that there's tenants interested in it who don't have children. I look for good schools because of my exit strategy. When I go to sell this house at a later point, odds are, the majority of the time, it's going to be to a family. This is a starter home. 2-bedroom, 2-bath is a starter home. Husband and wife, one child on the way. They look at schools. Okay? This could be either a starter home or an empty nester home, right? So that gives you a good percentage chance that someone is going to want to buy this home who have children. Okay? That's why I look for good schools. Plus, it gives you an idea of the community and things like that. So definitely on my list. This would definitely be a place that I would check off, and I probably will when I'm done recording this. And I would look at others as well, and I would run the same math on all of these properties. Check the HOA. What is it at? 300? Fine. Okay, that's up there, but that's fine. I would see if there's any mandatory memberships. Again, if there's not, perfect. I would run my numbers. I would check what my monthly expenses are going to be on a property this size. I would do my homework to see what the rent... Oh, wait a second. Why are we zoned to atrocious schools? That's a question we got to ask. This is a yeah, but for me. Properties could look great, but if you get a yeah, but, like, oh, this property is fantastic. Yeah, but no. Something's up. Something's up, and I don't like that. So that's something I would probably pass on. I would look at a few more. I scroll to my HOA, 275. Okay. Okay. Check for mandatory memberships. Again, you'll see it more in the MLS. I will also check 2 garage spaces. That's nice. I will also check and do my homework on my monthly expenses on a property this size. Schools are, look at that, 4 out of 10. Come on. So probably a pass as well. I don't know. This is how I look at things. You don't have to look at things this way, but if you want to look at things this way, you absolutely can. But this is how I do it. Okay? And don't just go by price either, you know, because something could be off. Again, HOA, fine, monthly costs, schools, so that means we're probably trending in a weird area right now, right? Probably trending in a weird area. But again, this is how I dissect properties. This is what I look for. This is what I'm going to be looking for when we pick up our next 5. And this is what I'll be looking for when we pick up our next 20. So hope this helped in some weird way. If it did, please like and subscribe to the channel. It'll help me out greatly, and it'll make me feel really good, and you really good. Pressing that big red button is like, watch what happens after you press it. I'm just kidding. But hope this helped. And if you need anything, please feel free to reach out, and we'll talk soon.